Hi, thanks for joining me on the Listen Everywhere podcast. This is your LGBTQ plus news podcast for Sunday, August the 23rd. I'm your host, Zach Randall-Friedman. Before I get into the news, I wanted to tell you about a brand new app that's out. So you know that feeling when you meet someone and just click? That's what Gay BFF is all about. It's a new app built just for making friends, not dates, not hookups, but actual friends in the LGBTQ plus community. Whether you've moved to a new city or you're looking to expand your circle of friends, or you just want more queer friends in your life, Gay BFF is easy to connect with people who get you. Go to gaybff.app to learn more and to sign up today. So let's get into the news because we have 6 stories today. A federal judge just handed the administration a real loss on gender-affirming care. A trans veteran in Kansas got forced into an electric trike just to get her disabled daughter to appointments. A cop is suing her own department over a locker room. LGBTQ plus athletes are stepping onto the world stage at the Commonwealth Games. And we are closing things out with a queer haven in Hungary and some real silence that undercuts a favorite political talking point. So let's start and get into it with a judge just blocked the orange convicted felon from gutting gender-affirming care under Obamacare. So today's one political story, and it's a real win. A federal judge in Massachusetts struck down a rule from the Orange Convicted Felons Administration that would have stripped gender-affirming care out of the essential health benefits covered under the Affordable Care Act. Starting in 2026, the rule would have let individual and small group insurance plans to stop treating certain gender-affirming care procedures as protected benefits, meaning no subsidies, no more out-of-pocket cost caps for trans people who rely on that coverage. Senior District Judge Nathaniel Gorton, a George H.W. Bush appointee, worth noting, ruled that the administration's Department of Health exceeded its authority by making the change without submitting a legally required report to Congress. In his words, the government didn't even attempt to justify skipping that step. It just didn't mention it at all. 21 states, led by California and Massachusetts, brought the lawsuit. Massachusetts Attorney General called it a major court victory and said plainly that this administration does not have the authority to make care less accessible and more expensive for trans people and their families. It's not a total win, but the judge let 4 other provisions in the same-sex rules stand. But on this piece, gender-affirming care stays protected, and we'll take that win. Our next story is a trans veteran in Kansas was forced onto the electric trike just to provide for her disabled daughter. So the next one happens when a law like Kansas actually lands on a real person. A Kansas judge has temporarily reinstated the driver's license of a trans woman veteran after the state revoked it under the same anti-trans law we've been covering over the past few weeks. Until the ruling came through, she'd been left without a way to drive, reduced to getting around on an electric trike, tried to keep providing for her disabled daughter. The judge found that Kansas violated her constitutional right and due process by invalidating her license without ever giving her a chance to be heard. He called the harm of her irreparable, and it was fixed immediately. She has her license back for now while the larger case plays out, but she's not the only one. Other trans Kansans are still without a valid ID or a way to legally drive because of the law. So real consequences for people while courts slowly sort out whether any of this was ever legal in the first place. Our next story is a cop is suing her own department over a trans recruit in the locker room. So a lawsuit making headlines this week gives us a pretty clear look at what the total bathroom panic actually looks like up close. A police officer is suing her department for allowing a transgender recruit to use the women's locker room, calling the experience intimidating and traumatic. In the lawsuit, she repeatedly misgenders her colleague and claims the recruit stared at her, language that frankly we've heard 100 times before, always without any actual incident to back it up. There's no allegation of misconduct here, no complaint of harassment, just a colleague existing in a shared space and a lawsuit built entirely on discomfort. It's the same script that gets used to justify bathroom bans across the country and treating trans people mere presence as an offense itself. I hate those stories. Next, LGBTQ plus athletes are stepping up at the Commonwealth Games. So something a little lighter, sports on the world stage. Openly LGBTQ plus athletes are competing across multiple sports at this year's Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. From track and field to team and power sports events, it's a smaller program than in past years, but the presence is still strong, continuing a trend that's reshaped what international competition looks like over the last decade or so. Women's boxing among them, where one of them pointed out that an equal number of medals of men and women's events would have sounded impossible just 10 or 15 years ago. It's a reminder that even while so much of our coverage is about fighting bans or lawsuits back home, LGBTQ athletes are still out there on the biggest stages in the world, just doing the sport. Next, inside Hungary's queer haven, even as the country's politics stay hostile. So we're closing in Budapest today. The Szeged Festival is one of Europe's biggest music festivals, has a dedicated LGBTQ plus venue called Magic Mirror that's been running for more than 25 years. Drag, circus, voguing, ballroom, and a lineup this year that included Zara Larsson. And it matters more than usual right now because Hungary is still a country where same-sex marriage is banned and where the former Prime Minister Viktor Orban tried to outlaw Budapest Pride entirely last year. One festival goer put it simply, within the Hungarian climate, Szeged is one place where you can go and just be yourself and not be afraid. Another said Budapest itself isn't always an exclusive place, but inside that venue for a few days a year, it gets to be exactly that. Orban lost his bid for re-election earlier this year. Hungary's politics haven't fully caught up yet, but for one island on the Danube, every August, they don't have to. And then finally, a new study undercuts one of the main arguments behind trans sports bans. So we're ending on something worth remembering next time this debate comes up. A new scientific analyst published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine pulled together 52 previous studies comparing body composition and physical fitness between transgender and cisgender people. The finding, while trans women on hormone therapy do have somewhat of a higher lean body mass on average than cis women, that difference did not translate into anything meaningful, an advantage in actual performance, meaning strength, endurance, and the things that determine who wins. The researchers were blunt about what that means. Their words, the current data did not justify blanket bans. They also pointed out something that tends to get buried. Trans women remain massively underrepresented in the elite sports, which is a strange fact for a supposed epidemic of dominance. 27 states have banned trans girls and women from competing under the gender identity anyway. The science was never really what the fight was about, but it's good to have that on the record. So that's the 6 stories for today, from a legal win on gender-affirming care to a human cost of Kansas bathroom ban to a queer haven in Budapest that keeps showing up no matter what politics say. If this show matters to you, subscribe wherever you're listening and leave a rating and review and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Follow along on Instagram at TheRealZachary and on YouTube. And I'll be back on Tuesday with more LGBTQ news. Thanks for listening.